Okay, so this is our first weekly check-in. Sorry I couldn't be there live, something came up. So I'm going to talk about how to do the time value money questions on the chapter 1 outline, so you might want to grab that. And then I'll talk more about the quiz and some of the other things beyond what you're doing in Connect that will be on the quiz. So here's chapter 1, time value money. These should be review questions that you had in Finance 3000, something similar to them. So if you plan to retire, you need 500,000 in 10 years. So that's going to be a future value. I'm going to go through these very quickly. If you have questions, you can email me, whatever. Your IY is 10%. How much do you need to set aside to reach your goal? The answer is 31,373. So that's N and that's IY, and this is compute payment. Investment costs $69.30 today, and you're going to get $2,000 a year. So these are payments. There's your N, and the question is, what is you're going to compute IY? Now, whenever you're computing IY or N, whenever you're computing IY or N, one of the future or present values has to be negative. So you think about it this way: you're going to spend $69.30. So that's an outflow, and that's present value. And compute IY, and you would get 6%. You want to buy a house for $50,000 and put 10% down. That means your loan is going to be for $45,000, and you're going to borrow the money today. So that's present value. 25 years is N, 8 is IY. What are the payments? So compute payment, and you will get 42.15. What would $1,000 at 9% be worth in 10 years? So this is today, present value. So you're going to compute the future value, and it would be 2367. Sorry for the lag there a little bit. And if it's semi-annually, we're going to cut the 9 in half, and that means the interest rate will be 4.5%, and the years 10 is going to be multiplied by 2, since there's 26-month periods. Your N would be 20, and therefore the future value would be 2411. Question number 5. We're going from 10 million to 20 million in 5 years. What is the compounded annual growth rate, which means basically your IY? Once again, we're calculating I, so one of these has to be negative, so we're going to make this a negative 10. This would be present value. 20 would be the future value. 5 would be N. Therefore, I is about 14.9%. If you're going to invest $5 a day, how much would you have over 40 years? So I'm trying to make this simple. We'll just make $5 times 365, and that gives you $18.25 per year. So that then becomes your payment. Over 40 years at 10%, how much would you have? And you would have $807,731. That is the future value. If we matched it with 50% more, if your company matched it for 401k, we just multiply this by 1.5, which is adding 50% on, and that would be 1,211,596. If we desire 70,000 in retirement for 20 years, so we're going to have 70,000 a year for 20 years, and we want to know how much do we have to invest each year for the next 40 years. Okay, so we're 25 through 65 and 65 through 85 is what we're going to get in retirement. How much would you have to save each year? Well, the first thing is to bring all the 70s back to this point, and that would give you 595,949. Okay, and that would be a present value number. These are all your payments. Now we have a new problem. We're solving for X, And the 595 now is the future value. So we take 595, 949 is the future value, and we have 40 payments of N. I is still at 10%, and therefore the payments would be 1,346. So there will be a couple questions on the quiz on time value money, be similar to what you just saw there. Okay, so let's talk more about kind of the class. So interviews. Interviews are coming up in a couple weeks. So to sign up for an interview, you're going to click on this link, go to the Google Sheets spreadsheet, sign up for your time, and you'll see they're not starting until February 4th. So we have quite a bit of time to do that. But if you want to get a better time or whatever, go ahead and do it now. In terms of your interview, a couple things here. I will post, this will be posted on Blackboard, and the interview assignment is going to be done on Teams. It's going to be for the entire hour. I'm going to have a meeting set up, but you will only have like 5 to 7 minutes. Therefore, try to join your team, or try to just log into Teams right when your time starts, because otherwise, if you get there too early, I'll be interviewing the person before you. Okay? So be prepared to answer the questions on this sample interview at the end of chapter 1, which look like this. I will just randomly pick out some questions for you there. Also be prepared to answer why I should hire you. This is like your 30-second elevator pitch on, basically selling yourself. Dress appropriately because your video will be turned on. This will be just like an interview that many of you might have already been having. Try to have an appropriate background, meaning, behind you looks halfway decent. Just Google like backgrounds for Zoom, like what you should do. I guess you could have one of those, gosh, what do they call them? I'm just going to call them like a green screen kind of background, fake backgrounds. But I think it's good to have your own background, because then you come through a lot clearer than if you have, kind of a digital background. So at the beginning of the interview, tell me what job you're looking to be hired into, or kind of a career at least, and also be prepared to answer if you're going to take the SIE exam before you graduate, and why or why not. So you may not even need it. So that would be why not. Okay, so keeping in the theme of getting a job, this is kind of a cool website. There's a number of websites out there. Just Google cost of living calculator. This is from CNN Money. And the point is, when you're looking at jobs, you might be looking at a job in, say, Columbus or Charlotte, North Carolina, or LA or something like that. And one may offer you $50,000, one may offer you $60,000. You may think, oh, $60,000, that's $10,000 more. Well, is it really $10,000 more? So for example, here we have cost of living in Columbus. If you get an offer, let's say of $50,000, and you're also thinking about a job offer, and here's in Asheville, North Carolina, that means that you'd have to get $55,000, almost $56,000 offer in Asheville to make it comparable to Columbus. So, it's just kind of fun to play around here. Let's say you wanted to go to Austin, Texas. I know some of our students have gone to Texas. So we look here at Texas, go to Austin, and you can see compared to Columbus, it's almost, 55,000, very close to the other one. So let's say you want to go to California. Let's go out to, there's Orange County, where LA is, 83,000, the same as Columbus. San Francisco, 110,000. You have to make like twice as much in San Francisco to make it comparable to Columbus, Ohio. New York, that's not New York. New York, go to, let's say you go to Manhattan, 140,000. I think that's about one of the most expensive ones. Or you're looking at Columbus, Cleveland, where there's not a whole, there's Akron, a little bit more expensive, Cleveland, a little bit more expensive, Columbus. So Columbus is looking pretty good. Okay, so for your quiz, I wanted you to remember that you have to go to other materials. In other materials, you're going to find 2 other assignments. So for example, not assignments, New York Times article on the stock market. So I've had a lot of people over the last, ever since COVID started, why is the stock market doing so well when the economy is doing so poorly? So this is one of the best articles I've read on that. And if all of you that are going into that field, you need to be able to answer questions like that. And this is just a really good article, I think. So I'm going to ask a couple questions about this article on quiz 1. I'm also going to ask a couple questions about this body language TED Talk on quiz 1. Okay, so remember for quiz 1, you have to take this practice quiz before quiz 1. I just want to make sure that all your software is working, and this is due by January 31st. It's only like 1 or 2 questions. And then for quiz 1, you've got a number of homework assignments, some of them January 24th, January 31st, and so on. Okay, so your quiz is not until February 2nd. The last thing I want to mention is, once again, log into Money Guide Pro, set up your account. I'm going to start giving you exercises to do. It's not as critical if you're not going to be a financial planner, but if you are, I really want you to start. You can go in there and even play around and try to get familiar with kind of how it works. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to call me, email me, whatever.